This is a 1980s Edelbrock Performer intake manifold for an AMC 304, 360, and 401. Sorry about the fire hose camera work. So that rivet hole seems to be a little bit off from that rivet hole. This is not the first time I've run into this on these. I have it on a Lazy Susan. Normally what these do is they'll cant one side over, usually here or here. You don't notice it, and then you put the valley pan gasket in, goop it. And this is going in the valley of this. Actually, it just came out of that, and it was leaking. This is where the heater feed line is. There's rust down in here. I've cleaned some of it out. Most of the rest of the ports looked like they sealed okay. Kind of grungy. I loosened up all the rockers so that there's no pressure on any of the lifters or push rods. My allergies are kicking my ass. So here's an oddity. I've contacted Edelbrock, had arguments with them. They said it was all my fault. All the people that put those Edelbrock intake manifolds on were stupid for not checking that the holes were aligned, instead of quality checking the intake manifolds, because there's only one set of holes. So my grandfather installed this on his 401 in the late 70s, early 80s. It was a 78 J20, had a 401 in it the last year of the 401. And he's passed on long ago. He evidently had issues with mileage. Well, we live at 4,500 elevation, and the cam timing on the 401s from the factory it had a lot of overlap. It would have been great for a race cam, I guess, but it doesn't have a lot of lift. But it had like 69 degrees, I think, overlap between intake valve closing and an exhaust valve opening, or yeah, one or the other. Anyway, both of the valves were open for 69 degrees, I believe it was. So you can tell by the casting number, not in the same place. Evidently, there were a couple of versions of Edelbrock intake manifolds available for AMC Generation 2 Plus or Generation 3 engines. That's the 304, 360, and 401 that began in 1970, 71. This is the main reason people bought it. The ports were smaller. Small port dual plane, SP2-P. It's garbage. You put your foot in it, nothing happens. Makes a lot of noise, doesn't go anywhere. Okay. That's a full-size port. That matches up with the head ports. That's a later Edelbrock Performer. There's your intake ports. So the point of all this is, if you like Edelbrock, there's reasons not to. And if you're going to put these plates on the bottom, which pretty much everybody recommends, because if you don't, the PCV, which I do recommend running, unless you like hot oil vapor spewing all over your nice shiny engine, just put the damn PCV in, positive crankcase vacuum, and run it to the carburetor. It doesn't really hurt anything. Cut this here, do some metal work, mount this part back, throw this away. I've done that on 2 engines. There's the trays. This one's going to have that done to it. All for now.